Song of Solomon chapter 4. Song of Solomon chapter 4, and we're going to be looking at the last sentence of verse 16 through chapter 5, verse 9. So 4:16 through 5:9. It says, "Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its choicest fruits. I came to my garden, my sister, my bride. I gathered my myrrh with my spice. I ate my honeycomb with my honey. I drank my wine with my milk. Eat, friends, drink, and be drunk with love. I slept, but my heart was awake. A sound. My beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one, for my head is wet with dew, my locks with the drops of the night. I had put off my garment. How could I put it on? I had bathed my feet. How could I soil them? My beloved put his hand to the latch, and my heart was thrilled within me. I arose to open to my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with liquid myrrh on the handles of the bolt. I opened to my beloved, but my beloved had turned and gone. My soul failed me when he spoke. I sought him, but found him not. I called him, but he gave no answer. The watchmen found me as they went about in the city. They beat me, they bruised me, they took away my veil, those watchmen of the walls. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, if you find my beloved, that you tell him I am sick with love. What is your beloved more than another beloved, O most beautiful among women? What is your beloved more than another beloved, that you thus adjure us?" I want you to see first, at the end of verse 16 through the first verse of chapter 5, that you should be satisfied in your spouse. She makes the offer to Solomon. Shulamite makes the offer that he should come to his garden and eat its choicest fruits. She says, you should come to me and you should find your satisfaction in me. You should come and you should have the best of what I am. And then he says, I did. I came into the garden, and he says, I gathered my myrrh with my spice. I ate honeycomb with honey and drank my wine with milk. If you think of the things that God told the children of Israel about Israel when they were in the wilderness, what did he tell them it was a land that was filled with? Anybody remember? Land of milk and honey, right? And that's really the high life, right? It is. I love honey, right? I love honey and I love milk. I can't drink milk anymore. It's very sad. Something happened when I was like 23 or 24 years old that all of a sudden if I drank milk now, it just upsets my stomach. And I hate that because I used to drink like 3/4 of a gallon a day. I mean, I drank a lot of milk because I loved milk. And milk and honey, there's things that aren't that easy to come by in these days. They didn't have grocery stores that they just went and bought everything. And then you think about the wine. The wine was also something that was special that God talked about. Do you remember when the spies went in and spied out Israel there at Kadesh Barnea? And when they came back, do you remember that they had a cluster of grapes that they had to carry on a pole between two people because it was such a big cluster of grapes they couldn't bring it just normally, right? That's what God had promised them. And so he's basically saying, I'm coming into you, the garden. You are like my Garden of Eden. You are the choicest of fruits. You have all the spices. You have all the myrrh. You have all that. You have the honey. You have the wine. You have the milk. You are my promised land. You are my promised land. And that's what he's saying to her. And he says, and there I'm satisfied in you. All right? You're to where you're satisfied, right? When am I going to be satisfied on this earth? Right? So I'm satisfied in Jesus now, but I don't really know the fullness of satisfaction. But one day, I'm going to cross out of this land, and I'm going to cross to the other side, and I'm going to be in heaven. I'm going to be in the promised land, and then I'll surely know what satisfaction means. I will be satisfied. Because what did Jesus offer? He says, let the one that's thirsty come and drink. And what did he tell the woman at the well? He says, If you knew who I was, you'd ask me for the water that I have, and you would never thirst again. Be truly satisfied in Him. But in an earthly sense, yes, we can be spiritually satisfied in Jesus, and we should be satisfied physically and emotionally in our spouse. We want to be satisfied in our spouse. Number 2, in verses 2 through 5, we should be excited for our spouse's presence. You ever had a dog? Any of y'all had a dog that lived inside? Even if you had a dog that lived outside, but you have a little dog, or if you have a big dog, and you go away, at least what some people say is that dogs do not understand time. So a dog, when you walk out the door, get in your car and leave, the dog thinks you are gone forever. The dog does not expect to see you again. The dog thinks it's over with. And that is why when you get back home and you open the door, what does the dog do? They're home. They're home. Oh, oh. And they get so excited because they thought it was forever, that you were gone forever. And they get excited. Now, a cat, on the other hand, is not the same way. Cat doesn't care when you leave, and a cat doesn't care when you get back. We do have one cat that does act like they're excited when I come home, but I think it's just because I have to walk through the kitchen once I get in. And so he always gets excited when I'm in the kitchen because maybe Daddy gives him stuff he shouldn't get. But anyway, he's, it was weird for a cat to do that, but a dog, that's just the way dogs are. I had my dog for a long time, and she lived outside after that fateful Mother's Day when she decided it was a good idea to tear up all the carpet in the house when we were going to church, and we came back, and then she got to live outside after that. But she did that, but she would still. I'd hear it. When I'd come home, I'd walk around. I was walking around the back, and I'd see her there, and I'd be like, "Hey, Zoe!" And she's so excited. She was so excited to see me. That's how we should be with those that we love. We should be excited to see them. We should be excited to see them. I remember when Caleb was little. He doesn't do this anymore. But when Caleb was little, when I'd get home from work, he would say, "Daddy!" every morning. "Daddy!" every day when I came home. "Daddy!" And Martha would, of course, go with him. "Daddy!" when he came home. They're excited to see him. And we should be excited for our spouse's presence. We should be excited to be able to spend time with them. Be excited to spend time with people we care about and people we love, people that we have friendships with, people that we have relationships with. And we should be excited the way that they were. What did she do? She says, "I was asleep, but my heart was awake. And then I heard a knock at the door. And I got all excited. I got all excited because he's here. 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 He's here." And then she runs and she's trying to go, but she's tried to put on some good smelling stuff real quick. And she's got the myrrh and she's trying to get the deadbolt open, and she opens it up and he's gone. And he's gone. She was excited to see him, but then he was gone, and she had to run after him. And we see in verses 6 through 9 that we should miss our mates. We should be excited when we're with them, and we should miss them when they're gone. We should miss our spouse. She did. She goes around. She's looking for him. For whatever reason, the watchmen decide to beat her because she's outside, and they bruise her. She goes and says, "They took away my veil." They did all these things. And she says she's sick with love because she misses him. And she can't find him. And we should yearn for that. Some of the nicest messages I get during the day is I'll just get a random text message from Martha, "I miss you today." Or yesterday it was a little cat sitting in the corner and waved at you and said, "I miss you." And that's what I got. And it makes me feel like, "Oh, I miss you too, And it's nice to know somebody's thinking about you. And we do that. We miss people. I told a friend today that I hadn't seen in a long time. I asked him, I said, "When are you going to be back in the area?" And he told me when, and he goes, "Why, you got something going on?" I said, "No, I just miss you, brother. Just hadn't seen you in a while. Miss you." And we should do that. That's part of the relationships. You probably don't have a real close relationship with somebody if you don't miss them. And some of the people that we've had great relationships with and that we've built it up, they've gone to the other side. They've gone to that ultimate satisfaction. They've gone to that place where they don't have hurt and they don't have tears, and they've gone on to heaven. And we miss them too, because one day we're going to find them. One day we're going to find them when we get to the other side to be with them. So that's how it relates from a human perspective, from human relationships. Well, how does it work with the church and our groom, Jesus Christ? Well, we should be satisfied in Jesus, shouldn't we? We should be satisfied in Jesus. I think that is the ultimate goal of man, is to be satisfied in God. To say, if I've got Jesus, I've got enough. No matter what else I have, as long as I've got Jesus, I've got enough. And that should be it for the church too. I was talking about this in Sunday school the other day. There's so many people out there that will say, I will stand strong in my faith. When the persecution comes, I will stand strong. And nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to stop me from worshiping Jesus Christ. But then they can have stuff that's not persecution stop them from coming to church, right? I mean, they can, there'd be 100 different reasons why. I could only come to church 3 times in a year, but boy, when the persecution comes, I'll be there every Sunday. All right? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Because if we can't come to church and we can't come together to worship now because so much pulls us away, when we're doing it under threat of death or threat of being beaten, are we going to be like she was and searching out for Jesus and willing to get beat when now we can have every reason in the book? I'm not saying that you have to be here every Sunday and every 6S service and every Wednesday night. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's good. Come as much as you can. But then there's some that they will just, it's because it's not that important. Because they find their satisfaction in other things. We can't. We have to be satisfied in Jesus. We have to have our satisfaction in Him. We should be excited to be in His presence. I will be excited to be in His ultimate presence, but I'm excited to be in His presence now. How do I know? Because what did Jesus say? If 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, who's with them? He said, there I'll be with them. Right? When we come here and we come together and we gather in Jesus' name and we gather for the purpose of worshiping Him and the purpose of fellowshipping together, He is here with us and we should be excited to be in His presence. And finally, we should miss Him and await His return. Do you long for Him? Do you want Him to come back? And to come back quickly? I remember when I was a little kid, I'd get, it always seems like you got a lot more stomach viruses and stuff when you were a kid, right, than we do as adults. I think it's partially because we build up immunities. I was looking at the kids' vaccination records the other day, and I'm like, they get vaccinated for that now? They're never going to get chicken pox. They're never going to get rotavirus. They're never going to get these things because they get the vaccines for them. And I was like, wow, that's kind of good, because I was wondering how many of those I dealt with when I was growing up. I know I had chicken pox, but my mom still kind of makes fun of me about this. But when I was probably about Jonas's age, I got a stomach bug, and so I went in and decided I would just lay down in the bathroom floor, and because I was just going to stay in there, I guess. I took my pillow in there, she said, and she says that she could hear me praying all night. And she said, what I said is, oh, come, Lord Jesus, just come back right now. Right? I was doing that because I was suffering, right? I was suffering because I was like, just come back. It was kind of like, well, you either kill me or come back and get me, because I'm ready for this to be over with. And, we get that way sometimes. But we should always have that yearning. We say, Jesus, come back. Come. We know He's coming back. And we need to be ready. And part of that is by telling others about it. So I don't know if y'all saw the news story. It came out new guy that was elected to Congress out of the 11th District, named Madison Cawthorn, out in North Carolina, Western North Carolina. He's the youngest. I think they said he's going to be the youngest person sworn into Congress in history. Really nice guy, and he's an evangelical Christian. He believes in the gospel. He believes in the Bible, and did an interview. And somebody said, "Well, so do you? What does it mean to you to be a Christian?" And he was kind of explaining it. And he said, "And one of the things to do is try to tell other people the gospel and try to help them, hope that they'll convert to Christianity, and so that they can go to heaven too." Well, have you ever tried to convert a Jew or a Muslim? Yeah, of course I have. I've tried to, and it was like, how could you do such an insensitive thing? Well, you know what? I yearn for Jesus to come back, and I yearn for as many people as I come into contact to go back with him when he comes. And how do we do that? We tell others. What would be the meanest thing we could do? The meanest thing we could do, look, I believe the Bible. I believe that it's true. And because I believe that the Bible is true, I believe that all those who have not put their trust in Jesus Christ for their salvation do not go to heaven. They go to hell. All those that have put their trust in Jesus Christ for their salvation, they go to heaven and not to hell. So I believe that because the Scripture has told me that, and because God has said that that is his plan. So what would be the meanest thing I could do, the most hateful thing I could do, is to not share the gospel with somebody because they might get offended. That'd be a pretty mean thing to do. Well, if you're just going to get offended, you can just go on to hell then. That's what we would be saying. And so I thought it was interesting that now somebody's being attacked because they dared share their faith with somebody. Have you ever read the New Testament? Half of the New Testament is them sharing the gospel with Jews. All right, that's what it is. And Jesus was a Jew, right? Paul was a Jew. Peter was a Jew. Andrew was a Jew. Matthew was a Jew. Mark was a Jew. Luke? Maybe. John was. We have to be yearning for his return, and we have to be ready for it. Do you think she wished that she had been a little quicker to the door to get it open? Maybe not put so much myrrh on her hands so that it was slipping on the bolt. We have to be ready when Jesus comes back, when he knocks on the door. We have to be there. We have to be ready. Jesus tells parable after parable about being ready, and part of that being ready is to yearn for him, to miss him, to go out and to tell others just the way that she does. She goes, "If you find my beloved, tell him I am sick with love." And we should be telling others, if you find my beloved Jesus, I am sick with love for him, and I hope you will be too. That you share that gospel with him, because he is the most beloved. Any comments or questions on that?